morning, Marvin Sylvester here again. Hope all is well with you, all is well with me. Today on this beautiful Sunday morning again at San Fernando Hill. As you can see, it's a bright and sunny Sunday morning. A little windy here, but again, great weather to be out with your family, to be doing different stuff. And that's basically a wonderful day here in South Trinidad. So before I go into the news, I just wanted to say my great thanks and appreciation for the support that I would have gotten from the last couple of videos that I made. The interview in particular, that has over 250 views, and the other video that we made has over 100 views, which is great. It shows that we're growing from where we started. And from me, I just want to say that I'm very grateful, very appreciative. We said we're gonna continue to grow. And again, for everyone who's liking, subscribing, commenting, sharing, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much. And one quick correction as well before we go into the articles. When I was speaking about Atlantic's production last week, I would have mentioned that in terms of quantifying it, I would have said that it was in trillion cubic feet per day, when it was supposed to actually be billion cubic feet per day. So again, I just wanted to correct that. When speaking about the production, the daily production levels, it's a billion cubic feet per day. So with that being said, let's move on to the article. So the first article I want to cover is sort of like a follow-up from an article that we covered last week, which was a Daily Express article that was stating NGC holding up multi-million-dollar investments, right? And in that video, we would have been speaking about one of the companies that we referenced were Methanex, and the fact that they would have invested approximately 100 million or so in a turnaround, with the expectation that they were going to get workable or good enough gas contracts from NGC. That didn't happen, and they decided to close down the two methanol plants they had in Trinidad, Titan and Atlas, right? So, but we have some kind of new info to follow up on what we said and what I speculated, right? So I'll just go with it. So there's a Trinidad Express article dated the 7th of March 2023, and the subject of that article is Methanex hopes to get new contract from NGC. It's an article by Curtis Williams. So let's just go into it, and at the end I'll kind of tie it back and put it together. So it goes, the article states, Rich Sumner, the new president and chief executive officer of Methanex Corporation, believes the environment in Trinidad and Tobago is more conducive now to reaching an agreement on new natural gas contract for both its Atlas and mothballed Titan methanol plants. He explained, we certainly want to be talking to the National Gas Company, NGC, for both Titan and Atlas. Important part here, NGC is really in a number of different discussions right now. One is with upstream, and so they are in discussions with the major players in the upstream. Now remember, we would have had that special NGC meeting with BP, Shell, and the energy minister. Could be that they're referring to, right? And probably there will be other meetings as well. But the article continues, but they have also been working towards getting standardized interests across the LNG trains, and then they will start discussions with the downstream. So positive progress on some fronts. So, he's talking about that. So the article then goes on to outline the challenges that that would have led to the closure of the Methanex plant, right? But there was a certain part that stood out to me, so I'll cover that now. Sumner appears a little more optimistic, pointing out the recent decision of the Biden administration to grant a license to Trinidad and Tobago to develop the Dragon gas field in Venezuela as another example of how TNT's gas shortage could be ameliorated or made better, right? Now, it also states that is positive news because there are even larger fields that border Trinidad and Venezuela and open up the possibility for that to happen as well. Right? So I'm gonna explain. So last week I speculated that NGC would not want to overcommit at this time until certain gas fields either come on stream or they reach a certain level of development. That's what I would have speculated. I said I would have bet on Calypso, right? Because there was certain questions around Dragon and Manatee. Calypso is supposed to come on somewhere around 2028, 2027, which is 4 to 5 years from now. Now, let me just give a very quick recap. So, Calypso as a Woodside energy project. There's approximately, I believe, 200 and so miles east of Trinidad. I was saying that was the best bet because that's just directly between Trinidad and Woodside. And if that happens, within a few years, we could see first gas from that project, right? And it's more or less kind of straightforward, even though I believe it's in deep water. You have the Manatee, right? Manatee is between Shell and Trinidad. Now Manatees are part of as I understand, the Lorraine Manatee field, which is a cross-border field between Trinidad and Venezuela. The Manatee is on Trinidad side, the Lorraine is on the Venezuelan side. There's about approximately a third of that cross-border field is on Trinidad's side. Because of the sanctions and whatnot, Trinidad and Venezuela have agreed to independently develop their own side of that natural gas field, and that's supposed to be coming on probably around the same time as Calypso too, if things go as planned, right? But again, I haven't been hearing much people talking about it, so might as well saying it kind of iffy, kind of. That's just my opinion. I have no real facts to back that up. And then with Dragon now, which the article mentions, we cover Dragon a bit. Dragon is a gas field that is in Venezuela's maritime waters, but we are liaising with Venezuela, the US authorities, local authorities, Shell, to try and get that gas, because that's on the northwest coast of Trinidad. Try to get that gas to tie in, I believe, to one of Shell's facilities on our north coast, which I believe is Hibiscus. Gas goes there and then down to Atlantic. How that gonna work out? Like I said, there were a lot of different factors affecting that. The Venezuela side, the US side. I mentioned elections in Venezuela in 2024, a 2-year license. Venezuela not being able to receive financial benefit from it. So there's a lot of things surrounding Dragon. Undeniably, the persons and the stakeholders involved are working on it. But again, I was saying that Dragon is going to take time and a lot of effort to make a reality. But undeniably, people working on it, right? So based on all of that, this is just my speculation here. I think NGC wouldn't want to count the chickens before the hatch, kind of thing. I think NGC is going to be very cautious in its approach. That's my speculation. They're going to be very cautious in their approach and continue to issue, I think, was 2-year gas deals, which I saw in that last Express article. So, how to put it, I know that it could be exciting to hear these things happening, and Methanex might be thinking, well, yeah, I could probably get a good contract now. But I just genuinely believe that NGC is going to probably hold its ground and stick with short-term contracts. Now, again, I could be wrong. And due to other factors that I don't know about, all of a sudden you come in here Atlas and Titan running back up because Methanex was able to get a long-term contract. If that happens, obviously, it's a benefit to the country because with those plants back up and running, different people are going to, stakeholders will benefit from it, whether it be through employment, obviously through the gas deal, like T and Tech that we would have mentioned with the Trinidad steel plant in terms of selling electricity or whatever it is. But we'll see. But my thoughts is NGC will be cautious. Anyway, moving on. So this video, I just really want to mainly cover the global factors that I believe will continue to impact LNG prices, which will in turn impact us here in Trinidad and Tobago. That is the big thing that I really want to cover this video. So let's just get at it, right? So last week I would have covered, not last week, 2 weeks ago, I would have covered some of the things that I believe impacting the LNG prices. One of them would have been the Russia-Ukraine conflict, right, which caused a lot of buying of gas, which caused the spike and energy prices to go up. And I would have also covered the changing climate conditions in Europe and the US, which shows that those countries are getting warmer, which is causing, at certain times when we would have expected the gas price to be high, it's actually causing the gas price to go down. So I want to cover 2 more factors this week, right? First one is from a Loop article which was dated the 8th of March 2023. It was the US Fed rate hikes will affect Trinidad and Tobago energy prices, says economist. And this economist was Dr. Valmiki Arjun. I hope I've done justice to your name, sir. So the article goes on, right? Let's go into it. Economist Dr. Valmiki Arjun is warning that the recent move by the United States to increase its interest rates will directly impact Trinidad and Tobago, including increasing the price of commercial loans as well as the Heritage Stabilization Fund being affected. Since March 2022, the US embarked on an aggressive campaign of monetary policy tightening to control inflation by increasing the Fed's interest rates 8 times. The most recent increase was on February 1st, bringing the rate to a range of 4.5% to 4.75%, the highest since October 2007. Now, before I go on to explain further, I'm not going to assume that everybody who's watching understands what inflation is and understands what the increase in interest rates means. When a central bank increase interest rates, what it means. So I'll just try to give, I'm not an economist, but I will do my best to just give my simple explanation, right? Simple, quick explanation. So according to Wikipedia, inflation corresponds to a reduction in purchasing power of money. So simply, what does this mean? Best example I could think of was doubles. So I am old enough or young enough, or you would look at it, to remember there was a time when the doubles man used to ride around in the community on a little bike with a bell, and back in them times, $1 was a dollar for one. $1 for doubles back then. So if you had $20, you could buy 20 doubles. But the reduction in the purchasing power now, that due inflation what we're experiencing, if you have the same $20, you could only buy 3 doubles, because a doubles is now $6 so on. Right? That is probably the best explanation I could give for what inflation is. As they say, is a reduction in the purchasing power of money. Back then, $20 could have gotten you 20 doubles. Now, they could only get you 3. Now, to control inflation, central banks around the world do something which is called increasing the interest rates, which is increasing the actual interest on loans and mortgages, the actual interest paid. Now, on Investopedia, it states interest rates and inflation have a direct relationship, which means that rates rise in order to keep inflation in check. So let me just give my best explanation of how I understand and interpret this to mean. Basically, it means that the more central banks increase interest rates, the more expensive it is for everyone to borrow money and to repay loans and mortgages. In turn, this slows spending in an economy, and the less people spend, as we know, is the lower prices go, and as prices drop, prices and goods and services, so less people spend, the lower prices for goods and services drop, and then that is supposed to lower inflation. So how to explain this best? So inflation is going up, prices getting higher, and people purchasing power reducing for goods and services. So the central banks in different countries will now decide to increase interest rates, and when they increase interest rates, it's first increase to the banks, the lending institutions itself, because the banks and them also borrow money, right? When the banks get the interest rate increases, they then pass those interest rate increases to their customers. You, me, people who have your house mortgage, your car mortgage, your business mortgage, etc., etc., etc. So now when we say you have a car loan running for $4,000 a month, that is both principal and interest combined. Let me say the principal is $3,500 and the interest is $500. When the interest rates go up, you now will have to pay more interest on that same loan. So whereas you was probably paying $500 in interest, let me just say you're now paying $1,000 in interest, so your loan gone up from $4,000 to $4,500, and this happening to everybody that has the loans and mortgages and money. So obviously, for most people, you don't want to default on your loan for your house or your car or anything, because you could lose it. You're going to focus on paying your loan. And then paying your loan, you're paying back more money. So let me say that extra $500 now you're paying back for the car is less money that going towards other things. Less money going towards fast food, groceries, market, wherever it is, but you're going to be spending less money in the economy itself because you're servicing your loan. And in doing that, as less people spend, prices for the goods and services is supposed to go down, and that is supposed to somehow curb inflation. Now again, that is just my layman's explanation. Obviously there are people out there explaining this thing way better than me, but I try not to. So that is how the interest rates work, right? Now with that understand, let's go on with the intercurve. You understand on a basic sense what inflation is, you understand what this interest increase is, and how on a bigger scale how it will now start impact Trinidad. So the article continues. Since the last quarter of 2022, the US rate hikes caused oil and gas prices to fall to levels below the prices which we predicted in our national budget on oil at $92.50 per barrel and gas at $6 per MMBTU, with Brent prices falling from a high of US $122.27 in June 2022 to US $83.45 in February 2023, and gas prices falling from a high of $9.06 in August 2022 to US $2.07 and $2.73 in February 2023. I think just before this video here, when I checked it, it was actually at $2.43 per MMBTU, according to the Henry Hub. $2.43, right? Article continues. Arjun noted that the US rate increases caused the US dollar to appreciate relative to other economies. So when they increase their rates, which they have done 8 times, the US dollar becomes stronger, and then the US dollar becoming stronger, it becomes more expensive for other people to acquire it, right? He further explained that since oil and gas are traded in US currency, this appreciation made it more expensive for countries to buy these energy commodities, and therefore caused them to lower the purchases of oil and gas, thereby lowering their prices. What compounded this was that over 50 other economies also increased their interest rates to control inflation, which slowed down their economic activities and trading with other countries. This in turn lowered the demand for oil and gas and naturally lowered their prices, Arjun explained. So what does all mean? My best simple explanation, my understanding, is that the US has increased their interest rates 8 times. Every time they increase their interest rates, the US dollar gets stronger, it appreciates, and it becomes more expensive for countries to acquire US dollars, which they need to purchase their oil and gas. So as the US economy experiences inflation, they increase their interest rates, which increases the US dollar, appreciates the US dollar. They get their situation managed, but the dollar gets stronger. It gets difficult for these countries to acquire the dollar. These countries then now buy less oil and gas. As they buy less oil and gas, the price for oil and gas drops. And that's basically how I believe this thing running, or what Mr. Arjun is trying to explain. Now, basically, simple terms, the more US increase the interest rates, more worse for us here in Trinidad, because our gas will now sell for less. The gas that we sell from Atlantic will now sell for less, and as it sells for less, we will earn less revenue in Trinidad and Tobago, as he said. I will have mentioned it in previous videos. We have shifted long ago from being an oil-based economy to a gas-based economy. So we now heavily dependent on gas sales from Atlantic for revenue. We've pegged our budget at approximately $6 per MMBTU. Prices are now at $2.04 per MMBTU. 2 different factors, but one of those factors is that these US interest rate hikes. So something to keep your eye on. Let's watch and see if there are any more continued interest rates increases, and let's continue to monitor the gas price, right? And at this point, again, you like it much you're seeing so far, you enjoying the content, remember to like, share and subscribe, right? So on to the next factor now that I also believe is going to cause challenges that will, challenges is the right word, but yeah, let's use challenges for now. Challenges that will impact LNG prices, that will impact global energy prices, which will impact us. So let's wait it. So this is from an oil price article dated the 7th of March 2023. The EU moves towards forming a natural gas buyers cartel. It's an article by Irina Slav. Let's go straight into it. The European Union will make its first move as a buyers group on the international gas market next month as it launches the first tender for suppliers. The tender follows months of discussions on how best to secure natural gas supplies for the 27-member bloc in such a way as to avoid some member states to outbid member states because of their deeper pockets. The solution was found in what could effectively be a buyer's cartel. Shop it for gas as one, as a block. According to Bloomberg, first offers from gas suppliers in the United States, Middle East, and Africa are to be signed in June. The price will be a sticking point in that joint buying exercise. One of the purposes of the whole endeavor was to keep gas prices low by buying in larger volumes. Besides, natural gas prices are currently a lot lower than they were a year ago. Yet the EU needs to buy a lot of gas, and such bulk buying may very well push prices higher. Which we know how it's supposed to be, because if you're buying a whole bunch of gas becomes more scarce and it's supposed to drive the price up. But let me go further into the article and give you an important quote from the European Commission Vice President Maros Sefcovic, I believe, who speaks in the article. He says, "We clearly need to turn the economic tide in Europe. I believe we are creating a new system that will increase competition and bring in new suppliers and push energy prices down. Since we started this exercise, there's enormous interest from international suppliers." So let's stop there. How does one create a buyer's cartel, and how does that work? Think about it. Let's look at the definition of what a cartel is, right? According to Investopedia, a cartel is an organization created from a formal agreement. But there's one definition, right? A cartel is an organization created from a formal agreement between a group of producers of a good or service to control supply or to regulate or manipulate prices. I'll read it again. A cartel is an organization created from a formal agreement between a group of producers of a good or service to control supply or to regulate or manipulate prices. Now, when I hear cartel, immediately what comes to mind is OPEC, right? Based on this definition. And OPEC is the Organization of Petroleum Exported Countries led by Saudi Arabia. So what we know cartel to be is like OPEC, where you have Saudi Arabia, Nigeria, Russia, and these countries who are oil producers coming together to say, hey, we will produce this much, or we will cut back this much to keep the price at this price. That is what we know a cartel to be. So when you hear a buyer's cartel, I was trying to understand how that might work. And then it also reminded me of another article that I actually seen a year ago. Let me go straight into that one. Another oil price article dated the 22nd of August 2022. It states, the subject was, Iran and Russia moved to create a global natural gas cartel. It was an article by Simon Watkins. It states, the US $40 billion memorandum of understanding signed last month between Gazprom and the National Iranian Oil Company is a stepping stone to enabling Russia and Iran to implement their long-held plan to be the core of participants in a global cartel for gas suppliers in the same mold as the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, that we just mentioned, right, for oil suppliers. With a foundation in the current Gulf Exporting Countries Forum, GECF, this gas OPEC would allow for the coordination of an extraordinary proportion of the world's gas reserves and control over gas prices in coming years, occupying the number 1 and number 2 positions in the world's largest gas reserves table, respectively. Russia with just under 48 trillion cubic meters, and Iran with nearly 34 trillion cubic meters. The two countries are in an ideal position to do this. Right? Now this is a real gas cartel, right? By the definition. People who own or control um, goods or services, or in this particular case, commodities, right? But let's put all of this together and explain how these potential factors and these cartels could impact LNG prices and Toronto. I see two potential scenarios, right? So you have the first buyer's cartel, which is supposed to be based on tenders. I sat down and I thought about it. I was trying to think how this is going to work. So they specifically mentioned tenders. So what I think they're trying to do is to get a whole bunch of different gas producers in the same room, put out a tender for a certain amount of gas to be supplied, and then let these companies try to outbid each other with the lowest price possible to win the tender. And in doing that, I believe what would be happening is these countries are now not going to get the best bang for the buck. What do I mean? You get all these people in the same room, and instead of trying to sell gas at the highest price possible to get the best bang for your buck, getting a bunch of people in the room who are going to be fighting to get to win the bid by putting forward the lowest price possible. And how does that benefit these countries? I'll give you an example how best I could explain it. So you have right here in Trinidad different ministries that's be putting out tenders, right? So let me, for example, use the Ministry of Education putting out a tender for school benches. Now you put out a tender for school benches and you normally sell, I'm just using random figures, right? You as a supplier of benches normally sell a bench for $15. And you and 9 other competitors, so 10 companies locally selling benches. You selling it at 15. The tender comes out. When the tender comes out now, it goes to everybody, and everybody wants to win, right? So in wanting to win, first thing you think is, well, what price are they going into this tender with? Now let's say across the board, everybody's production cost of these benches is $10, right? Generally, rough figure. You selling at 15. Everybody participating in the tender, and somehow you just happen to find out that 5 of these companies running in with a price at $14 and 4 companies running at a price of $13. What do you do if you really want to win? You drop your price to $12. And in doing so, that is where I am saying we are not really getting the best bang for your buck. But I believe that is what is going to happen with this tender-like system that's being developed by the EU. Now, playing to good manners. Basically, you're giving away your power as a supplier for this particular commodity, because no longer are you going to be setting or controlling your price to get the best up. You're going to be setting it to simply win. Now you might say, okay, the EU is a very big market, so even if I go to a lower price, because I sell into a much bigger market, I will still make money in the long run. But is this the way in which, let me say, if Trinidad, because I remember the minister was saying that we sell our gas in a European and Asian markets. if Trinidad is going to be engaging in this tendering process, what are we gonna get? How are we going to now reduce our prices to outbid other gas suppliers? Just some food for thought. Now that is one scenario. You have another scenario where, as we speak about the real gas cartel, which would be the gas producers themselves coming together and creating an organization which they would regulate and control production, output cuts, and more or less set the price. Now, I mentioned Iran and Russia. Well, we know about how the West feels about those countries. So you will have a situation where, you know, would that work? But let me just say, for example, Russia and Iran not involved, and you just have a whole separate different group of countries getting involved and setting up this real cartel. Well, in that particular case, whereas in the other case where the buyers cartel is going to keep prices low, in this particular case it could potentially drive prices to average much higher, because these countries could come together and say, listen, we want to keep the price at $5 per MMBTU, at $6 per MMBTU, and they could take steps to manipulate the price. Now, either way, as you could see, one, with the tenders could keep us in an eternal loop of low prices if that buyer's cartel works out the way the people who want to do it envision it. Or they could have where, if the people who push the gas cartel, if they have their way, they could keep the prices up, elevated. But ultimately it's going to affect us here, and it's something that, you know, we should keep our eye on. We will see which quote-unquote cartel takes precedence and we just be mindful of that. So with all that, now I just want to finish off on a more or less kind of lighter article, right? So this article is from the Maritime Executive, right? It dated the 7th of March 2023. Here this article. Antigua prepares to auction off abandoned yacht with links to Russia. So let me just go straight into this article, right? The government of Antigua and Barbuda is preparing to condemn and auction off a Russia-linked mega yacht that no one is willing to claim. The 269-foot yacht Alfa Nero has been abandoned at Falmouth Harbor for over a year, and as the true owner has yet to reveal their identity and pay the bills, the government plans to dispose of it as a hazard to navigation. Alfa Nero has been linked to Russian billionaire Andrei Guryev. Now, we're not going to go more into the article, but I just wanted to cover it at the surface right now. And another website I would have seen this yacht Alfa Nero has been valued at $120 million, and it was described as being a modern floating palace. Now imagine a $120 million yacht, a modern floating palace, being abandoned by somebody. That to me is remarkable. You know, and when you look at what's happening in the world globally, you look at what's happening here in Trinidad and Tobago, it's like somebody could abandon a $120 million yacht, abandon it, just leave it, do claim it, and it gets sold off. To me, that was just interesting. And something that stuck out to me, and I just wanted to share with you also. People abandoning $120 million yacht. Wow. Anyway, that brings me more or less to the end of the stuff that I wanted to cover this week. Again, if you've watched this entire video all the way to the end, thank you very much. I am very grateful. I would encourage you again, if you've enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed this content, to please continue to like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell so that you could get these videos as soon as I post them up. Also, if you really enjoy the video, there will be links to my Buy Me a Coffee, so you could provide further support to the channel. I'll be eternally grateful. We'll continue to keep this channel up and growing. And basically, you know, thank you so much for keeping us going. So with that being said, I hope you enjoy your day, enjoy your Sunday or your day whenever you do see this video. Hope that you enjoy your week. I hope it brings all the things that you wish to achieve. And as I would like to close up this video, I'd like to mention in my videos to keep informed, stay vigilant, and be prepared. So have a great day, have a great week. That's it from me. Take care.